Put me in, coach. I'm ready to play. Chad Chopper. It's episode 37. It's September 13th, 2022. How you doing, buddy?
Doing good, bud. Today is Noah's birthday. It's 13. My 12-year-old is now entering teenagedom. We have two teenagers in this house right now.
What does that do for your mental health there with two teenagers now?
My friend. Well, I think it's going to get even worse when one of them starts driving. That's really going to be scary. Now, we're lucky because it's not far to drive, right? It's 2 minutes from the school and all that good stuff. But yeah, they're great kids. But yeah, there's a little bit of talking back from the 14-year-old. So I'm anticipating a little bit of talking back from the 13-year-old. But we'll get through it. I talked back quite a bit at my age. I'm doing a little talk back.
How do you balance that? That trying to lead them down the right path and correct them when they're disrespectful and wrongdoing, yet understanding you had your failures as well, and there's a learning curve there. How do you balance that out?
Currently, poorly. I look like a juggler in a circus who isn't the A team. You know what I mean? Like the A guy's out. He's got a cold and he's not able to juggle that night. And they're like, "Hey, Chop, you're up." And I'm like, "Oh boy, I wasn't ready to juggle chainsaws." So,
but we're about winning and learning. This is winning and learning here.
I do the best I can. Lost my cool last night a little bit on the birthday boy. Took away his computer. This was a good parenting move. I said, "Hey, you didn't help today around the house. I'm taking away your computer because you're on your computer all day." And then I, like 5 seconds later, I'm like, "But it's your birthday tomorrow, so you get your computer back. So disregard on that." So yeah, it's not great, but you do the best you can. And, say you're sorry when you got to say you're sorry and tell them you love them and wish them a happy birthday. We're doing the best we can.
Day to day, just one day at a time and take all those challenges on. I feel for you, brother. I'm not there yet. We're in the thralls of third grade and pre-K. So I woke up doing a little bit of long division with my 8-year-old there, third grade math, and that's my wheelhouse. I finished third place in the North Carolina Math Olympics when I was in third grade.
I read about that.
It was in the Randolph County paper
Sure was.
Back in 1990. But so many challenges. All of our listeners, thank you for hopping on board while you're driving in your car or taking your jog. This episode is supported by and brought to you by our 3 Patreon supporters. Joe Matias, who goes by the nickname Coach Dogpile. I've coached both of his boys for about a decade now, and he goes by the nickname Coach Dogpile because he likes to have fun with the kids, and sometimes when they win a game, he'll say, "Okay, everybody, dogpile on top of Coach here in right field," and they'll just jump on him and have a fun dogpile. Also,
thanks, Coach Dogpile.
Thank you, Coach Dogpile. You the man. Justin Sprague goes by the nickname Coach Sparky, and he's my boots on the ground in Madison, Wisconsin. He's probably rocking some jean shorts, maybe a 2-day mustache right now. But he got the ball rolling there in Madison. What a great town. So that's Coach Sparky. Attaboy. And Michael Johnstone, who goes by the nickname Coach Austria, because he is a big deal in the coaching space there in Austria. And I can't wait to get out there and do a Sandlot there. And Mrs. Ballgame can't either. She's a huge Sound of Music fan. So got to get out to those mountains. What are those mountains called out there? What are those?
The Swiss Alps. I don't know. Am I right?
Swiss Alps. Pretty sure it's the
Swiss Alps. I'm gonna go Swiss Alps. I'm taking that.
It's not the Himalayas, and it's definitely not the Appalachian or the Rockies.
Nope.
So,
Swiss Alps.
That's Coach Austria, Coach Sparky, Coach Dogpile. Thank you for supporting us and helping Tommy Gold pay his rent this month. It's gonna really come in handy. And with that, we're gonna be dropping the Mookie Betts and the Albert Pujols podcasts and making those private. So only Dogpile, Sparky, and Austria will be able to listen to those and watch those on the YouTube here in just a few days. And they'll also get some VIP action They'll be able to Zoom in with us and Q&A, ask any questions. They'll get the VIP service because they're helping us. And when we have our wives on, I'm sure they're going to attest that we just can't do this for free, right? We got to be able to pay the bills and put food on the table. I look forward to that episode, by the way, when the wives speak. What do you think?
Oh, I can't wait. Finally, the brains and the beauty behind the operation. They're the best. That's, you talk about putting your best foot forward. We get our wives on here, man. That's working smarter and not harder.
I don't know if the world's ready for it, but you better be.
They should be.
You better tuck your shirt in.
Yeah.
And maybe rock a full day marathon of Rocky, Fletch, and
Fletch.
And maybe Police Academy, because you're going to want to really get dialed in for that episode. So thank you, Patreons.
Guys, appreciate you. Thank you.
Number 2 on my list is just a great story from the Sandlot tour, and I'll drop a new story each week. But I had read an email a couple months back that I'd gotten on this podcast from a mom of a kid in Georgia, in the Atlanta area, and he had gotten hit by a pitch, and it was from the fastest pitcher in the league. This kid's 9 years old. He faced another 9-year-old that was throwing absolute cheddar cheese, pumping it in, and he got banged right in the ribs, and it really messed with his head. He was not able to stay in the batter's box when another kid would pitch in his direction. And I've coached private lessons for 15 years, and more than half of my lessons was a therapy session where I'm just trying to speak to the bravery and speak to the mind of that child. Hey, everybody's been through this, and just keep putting your best mighty warrior brave step forward. Well, this kid, I got to meet him in Georgia at the Sandlot, and he comes up to me and he says, "Hey, Coach Ballgame, you remember me? I emailed you." I said, "Oh yeah. What did you email me?" He said, "I was afraid, got hit by the ball, didn't want to step into the batter's box." And then I said, "Okay, what did I respond to you?" And he said, "Well, you said, everybody goes through this. You even went through this, Coach Ballgame. And Mike Trout's gone through this, and Babe Ruth, and Roberto Clemente. Everybody's gotten hit by the ball, or something's caused them to have a fear." And he said to face your fears, and to be honest with your fears, and to just try and keep stepping in the box. And one day, maybe 6 weeks, 6 months, a year, I'm going to hit that ball. I'm going to clock it. And then I'm on the offensive. I'm on offense again. And I'm not on the defensive. I said, "Well, what happened?" He said, "Well, I faced that pitcher again, that same pitcher. And I was afraid, and I jumped out of the batter's box. But then the next time I faced him, I jumped out of the batter's box again. But that third time I faced him, I jumped out of the batter's box again. But at some point, and I can't remember if it was the 4th or 5th or 6th time, he threw a ball and I crushed it down the left field line for a home run." And
wow.
And I let him tell that story to the whole Sandlot there in Atlanta, Georgia. And I said, "What's your nickname?" He said, "Mighty Warrior. That's my nickname now." So what a sweet kid he was. You can watch that whole video of him telling his story on my Instagram. If you were following along on the Sandlot tour, you probably already saw it, but got to take a picture with him and his mom. And hey, to be just a small part of that kid's journey, I don't think he'll forget it anytime soon. And I think he'll really, he'll use that when somebody's tempting him to make a wrong choice. Okay, I want to face my fears here and not jump into that temptation pool. I'm going to stay out of that. Or when he gets fired from a job, to be able to face his fears and jump into maybe a different job, something he loves more than that one. Any kind of fearful thing that comes up. And I'm afraid of when my kids start driving, Like, I'm sure you have fears of today or tomorrow when they start learning how to drive. But I don't think he'll forget it anytime soon. I'm super proud of him. So wanted to give Mighty Warrior that attaboy shout out,
I
right
love
here on
that.
the air.
Yeah, I love that about Mighty Warrior. And I like that he actually picked up on your delivery a little bit too. Like the way he told that story reminds me of your versus Verlander, where first pitch I swung and a missed, and the second pitch I swung and a missed, and but then you're like, at some point you get to where you're like, but you know what I did after that? Shout out to the catcher, round of applause, and it's like, I love that, because usually when you tell a story, there's, especially when you're the coach and you're running camps, all these kids, I was expecting you to say, and then I hit a home run. You know what I mean? Like, it's almost like, they talk about fishermen where the fish gets longer every time. You feel like, as a coach, I got to make sure they know that I'm the best out here and this, that, and the other. But you do such a good job of making sure they know, hey, I was afraid of the ball. Coach Shop was afraid of the ball too, by the way. I remember watching my older brother, who's 2.5 years older, and vividly thinking, I am not going to be able to play baseball when I get to his age because they're throwing too hard. And like, you used to dry heave against Verlander. I'm like, dry heave, I'm so scared. I don't think I can get in the box. But then you get in the box and you actually get hit and it hurts, but then you get to first and then it's kind of gone. And you're like, oh, okay, well, I survived it. I had a parent who asked me on Saturday with one of our 10-year-olds, same deal. Hey, what do we do? He's scared of the ball. I said, honestly, we're going to love him through it. Like, I had the same thing. It's normal. It's natural. It's scary. We'll work in practice with a tennis ball, teaching him how to just properly turn his back and protect his face and his hands and his elbows and all those things that you don't want to damage the moneymaker. But give him the tools for when the ball's coming at him. But ultimately, like, to exactly what you said, everyone goes through it. And if I'm being perfectly honest, I've been hit with 98. Like, you still kind of have it's not a fear, but it's like a healthy respect for, if that ball is coming at you, you just got to know how to get out of the way. And I think when you empower kids to know how to get out of the way if it's coming at them, it gives them a better shot and gives them a little bit more confidence. Of like, all right, if that is coming at me, I'll go ahead and turn my back and I'll survive it.
And it's about the lens you're looking through as a coach. If you want to win that game today, then you're going to tell that kid, Chopper, get back in the box. We need you right now. I need you. I need to win this game. So I need you to buck up and toughen up. And then it's gonna be a much longer process. It's working against what you're trying to accomplish. Whereas if you're trying to make that kid succeed in life, or maybe trying to think of what's going to happen when they're 24 and they can look back on this moment and say, I overcame that because of a great coach. Yeah, maybe it's a relationship that went bad and they're able to kind of bounce back from that, whatever that might be. If you're looking through that lens, you're trying to make them a better father, a better citizen, just a better bounce backer in life as they get older, a more mature human being. Yeah.
A spirit to respond. I wrote that on our whiteboard yesterday. We are a group. I wrote down who we are as our high school team, and it's, you got to have a spirit to respond, and almost an anticipation, because things are not going to go your way. Spoiler alert, anyone listening, if it's going good right now, at some point it will turn, and it's going to get tricky and it's going to get hard. That's how life works. How are you going to respond? You get to choose your attitude. You get to choose your response, and you get to choose what you're looking at. Are you looking at the trouble that's coming your way? Are you looking at the truths that you know to be true? Right. And so that's where it's cool for me. Like, I know that I have a God who loves me, and I know that I have a God who created me, and I know that I have a God where that says everything works together for those who love the Lord. So like, for me, when stuff doesn't come my way, or it's scary, or it's confusing, or maybe it doesn't make sense, that could cause fear and anxiety. And that's a fair response as a human. But where are you going to focus, on the incoming fear and uncertainty, or are you going to look at the certainty? I have a wife who loves me. I have 4 beautiful kids. I have a roof over my head. We have 2 cars. That's less than 3% of the population on the earth. I haven't had to worry about a meal my entire life. So it's like, you got to look at the things that you're thankful for and that you appreciate. And like, I think we've talked about, I know we've talked about in the past, put others before yourself. Just get out there and serve.
Yeah. I mean, Albert Pujols has said it on the podcast, like, this life is a gift. I was given this life, and it's a gift. And if you think of it like that, okay, the day I was born, that's a gift. And every day from that point is a gift. I think about that line all the time. Throwing it back to the lens of coaching, you're loving that kid through that moment. I tried to love Mighty Warrior through that moment. And I think it was way more productive than if you're going with the short term, got to win today. He's 9 years old. He's got to toughen up. I mean, he feels your anxiety right away. Like, you're like pushing him down this road that is scary for him. So I always tell kids, if you're not a little afraid of the ball or have a healthy respect to that pitch, then you're a little off. You might be a little psychotic. It's very normal to feel those healthy fears, but repetition really helps. Just keep getting back in the box, and before you know it, you're on the offensive. And when you go 3 for 4 with a couple doubles off the wall, you really forget it quick. And now you're back on the offensive. Then the next time you do get hit, okay, I've painted that house before. I know how to paint it again. I've messed up that. I messed up that dresser. I've put the drawer in the wrong way. I know how to do that now. I've put the batteries in the wrong direction. I know how to fix that. So you win and you learn. And that's how I'm approaching being handy around the house as well. As we're trying to paint, we're trying to build things and put the girls' rooms together with all kinds of closets and dressers and drawers, and I'm not handy, and that's a bit of a tease on the best thing I saw all week. I had something really cool happen to me, and that's going to be a segment we add at the very end. Listener, is the best thing we saw all week, something that really fired us up. But back to your point of being thankful for what you have, and every day is a gift. We're both probably some of the most positive people in the world. I think everybody can attest to that listens to this. Like, I wake up, I see a big boulder falling from the sky. Ooh, that's a good hitting drill. Let's get a bat and let's hit those boulders to right center. It's just the way I'm wired. As soon as a negative thing happens, my brain goes to okay, how do we fix it? And what's the positives we can take from it? But I also know that it's healthy, especially, let's say I'm in a relationship with my wife. It's very important to look through the situation in her shoes as well. And I, at times I can be, I don't know if these words really match up, but positive in a toxic way, like toxic positivity. And I'd love to hear your stance on that. But there are times when I know I can't just be happy coach ball game, spin this the right way, because it comes off disingenuous. It comes off as not being empathetic to the other person. So I've learned, and that's helped me as a coach as well, dealing with different personalities. Sometimes I can't just say, hey, you're going to get them next time. That doesn't work for that kid. That kid needs me to stop, say, hey, what's going on, dude? Like last week, that kid that you had that just broke down after you actually got real with them. I'd love to hear your thoughts on that term, toxic positivity, and how positivity can be amazing and is necessary, but I found can also, it can make somebody feel worse.
Yeah. Actually 2017, maybe, San Francisco Giants clubhouse, right? That group was obviously won 3 championships in 5 years, and then made the playoffs in 2016, had a tough ending to that season. Get into 2017, it's not going good. So 20-30 games under 500, really difficult. So to your point, if you're walking around that clubhouse with toxic positivity, which is exactly what it is, you're not being honest, and so you got to be honest with your positivity. that doesn't mean you can't try to find kind of the gleaming hope or the positive you can take from a situation. You have to. That's how you get through it. But yeah, you can't just be positive no matter what. You got to be honest. So it's okay. Like, hey, little Jimmy, like, yeah, it's not going your way right now, but here's the steps we can take. And I think we can come up with a plan and maybe some thoughts or maybe some drills or whatever we're at. Well, we're going to get there. And I just want you to keep getting up and trying. And you're going to fail and you're going to fail and you're going to fail. But if you stay positive and in a good mindset, even if you never come through to the other side, maybe baseball's not your thing, but guess what? You've learned how to keep a good mindset through a difficult thing. That's going to help you in whatever you end up doing. I think you have a chance to do it in baseball, but if I'm wrong, that's fine. I had a college kid, great kid, came up to me on Saturday, right? I love this young man. And I said, how's it going? He's at a junior college. And I said, how's it going? And he goes, honestly, coach, it's not going great. It's not going great. And he said, I'm not getting opportunities. There's multiple D1 guys that have like kicked back to this JC. There's 12 or 13 outfielders. I'm not traveling with the team. I'm not getting opportunities, right? So super hard. That's super hard. How do you do that? Do you go toxic positivity? No, right? But what I did tell him is, I'm going to tell you something right now. I believe in you, right? And don't lose faith in yourself. And also trust that God has you where you're supposed to be. So basically, literally what I just told you, to like what we would do with a kid, I said, hey, you can be an example to others through this. I believe you're going to find a way to be on that starting lineup. I just do. I just think you're too good. And I don't care if there's 12 other kids. I'd put you up against 200 other kids. I think you're one of the best. So that's how I see you. And that's how you should see yourself. With that said, you're going through a tough spot. Keep your mind right. Try to prove your coaches wrong. Don't prove them right with, pouting and poor me and all this stuff. Work hard. Be an example to your teammates. And if you get out the other side and you're in the starting lineup, awesome. I think that's going to happen. But if it doesn't, you still went through a really tough, difficult time with a great attitude, and you proved to yourself that you can do hard things. So that's giving someone, hey, here's a roadmap to get through it, and not just this like, oh, it's going to be okay, sweetie. Here's some orange slices. Like, that kid didn't want to hear that, and he shouldn't. That's not the right time. That's toxic positivity.
Yep. And I like to put things in priority lists, and positivity is way up there. It is way up high on the list for me as far as a coach. Being positive and turning negatives into lemonade real quick. But what's more important than that? Relating to your players, relating to the person that's talking to you. My gut instinct, right when that kid says college isn't going very well, is to say, well, at least you're not a jellyfish. You don't poop out of your mouth. At least you don't have to beg for meals, that kind of thing. But I've been able to put the brakes on that gut instinct, and that wiring. That's just who I've always been. And I think that's why I turn things into funny as much as I can. I'm always, trying to find funny and make people laugh, because I hate sadness so much. I despise it. So yeah, priority lists. There's a way to relate and be empathetic and get down on somebody's level and try and stand in their shoes. And then a close second. Okay. But I believe in you. I'm positive about this. This is good for you. But yeah, kids sniff out the disingenuous. Your spouse knows when you're being dishonest or not relating with their situation. So I think they really correlate. Being a husband, being a coach, being a wife, being a coach, they work together. Same with parenthood. Yeah, but before we move into segment 3, which is the MLB picture, anything to kind of tie a bow on that?
With this same kid, I also tried to have him focus on the truths or what he knows, right? So like, hey, you know that you have a God who loves you. You know that he's not going to put you in the wrong spot. And he put you there because there were a lot of things that lined up for him to end up being in that situation. So I said, so you're there for a reason. Keep going, keep working, and trust. You have to trust. So I also told him he can call me anytime, text or call me. I will gas you up. I said, if you're feeling down, Coach Shop will gas you up. And I mean that. And I will. And because it's easy, because it's honest. That is genuine. I think he's one of the best players I've ever seen. I mean, this kid, 6'3", runs a, 6'6", 60. He can fly. Major league average is 6'8", 7. He can fly. Hit the ball a country mile. He's got a bazooka for an arm. Tremendous at. He's a yes sir kid. This is a guy you want, and he's clutch. So it's easy to gas up someone that you believe in. But I told him, give me a call.
What Jock Peterson say when he'd go into the clubhouse? He needed some kind of session from you, right?
It's a dig me sesh. Yeah, it's a dig me sesh.
A dig me sesh.
Yeah, dude, you got to have a dig me sesh. So that's my wheelhouse, and it's easy for Jock because Jock's the show, right? Jock's the guy. Like you're paying $50 for parking to come see Jock Peterson hit a ball over the fence. That's just the fact of it, and you're getting your money's worth. So, yeah, I love gassing up people that I believe in,
and it's real. That's what Jock noticed is. Yeah, you're gonna dig me right now. You're gonna gas me up, but you're not blowing smoke. You've earned the right to gas me up right now because you've been with me in my down moments. You've related with me. You've shared with me a couple times, and you struck out 5 times as well. So, toxic positivity, dig me sessions, being authentic. Good things I've highlighted so far. All right, let's switch gears, man.
Putting on my glasses, Coach.
Put on your Major League Baseball glasses because we're getting down to it here. As far as how many games are left, I think we've got about 3 weeks left. So something around 20 games remaining in that ballpark. Yeah. 20 some games. And looking down the standings here, listener, let's go National League Central. You got the Cards, 8 games up on the Brew Crew. In the East, the Mets, 1.5 games up on the Bravos. In the West, the Dodgers, they've completely run away with it, 20.5 up on the Pods. In the AL, the Yanks, 5.5 up on the surging Blue Jays, 6 on the Rays. In the AL Central, Cleveland Guardians, 3 games up on the White Sox, 5 on the Twins. And in the West, the Astros have run away with that one, 11.5 up on Seattle. As far as the wild card goes, Dodgers, Mets, Cardinals, their division leaders. Braves atop the wild card. Phillies, 1.5 games back. And the Padres, also 1.5 games back there. And then you got the Brew Crew outside looking in, 2 games back of the Pods. So that's going to be interesting down the stretch. What 3 teams get in between the Braves, the Phillies, Padres, and the Brew Crew? And then in the AL, Seattle.
Braves have a big Coach. Braves have a big lead, right? They're 8.5 ahead of the Phillies. Braves are in. Braves are going to get.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Between the Phillies, the Padres, and the Brewers.
That's right. The Braves are way up, 10 games up atop, and then the Phillies have 1.5 games up on the Pods.
There you go.
And then the Brew Crew right there. That's it. That teamwork makes the dream work. So Braves are way in, and they're going to be fighting for the division. I'll see. I don't know how much I trust the Brew Crew. And then the Orioles are outside looking in, but they're now 5.5 back of the Rays. I think that one's pretty much set in stone. It's just who's gonna get that top wild card between Seattle, Toronto, and Tampa. 0.5 game separates all 3 of them. So let's start in the NL with the best team, the Dodgers. If we look back at our picks at the beginning of the season, I believe we both had the Blue Jays and Dodgers in the World Series, and I picked the Blue Jays over the Dodgers. I think you picked the Dodgers over the Blue Jays, right?
I've been bleeding blue for a few years now. So yeah, I had the Dodgers. I guess that wouldn't make a ton of sense because Toronto's also blue, but I went Dodgers. That looks like a pretty good call at this point.
316 on the run differential. 316
Crazy.
more runs they've scored than the other team. And then if we look at team stats, as far as team runs batted in, it's the Dodgers. Team runs, team on base percentage, team slug, team OPS. That is all the Dodgers. So they are crushing it offensively. They also have the best team ERA, most wins by a pitching staff, best whip, best batting average against. So they're the best pitching team in baseball. They're the best hitting team in baseball. They're the best team in baseball.
So what they're doing this year, that's been really impressive to me, is they're beating Cy Young candidates when the Cy Young candidate has his good stuff. Like they faced Sandy Alcantara, and he got him back in Miami. He shoved, but like in LA, Sandy was really good, and they put up 6 on him in like 3 innings or 3 1/3. To me, that's what's scary if you're these other teams. And I think it's going to be a challenge when you go up against the Mets with, if Scherzer's healthy and you got DeGrom, Scherzer, that's going to be a difficult task. But I just think this lineup, they're playing baseball. Freddie Freeman, to me, I mean, I just never watched him consistently. He's a baseball player. The way he runs the bases, the way that 2-striker, I mean, he abuses the shift. If you're still shifting on Freddie Freeman, I mean, shift happens because he just flipped the ball the other way. He's such a good, smart baseball player. I love him. Like Freddie Freeman.
He hits a lot. He does a lot of tee work, and he's always working on that line drive to the left center field side of the field to the shortstop. He'll hit ground balls to the shortstop, line drives over the shortstop's head, all tee work. So young hitters, you want to beat the shift. You want to hit it like Freddie. Then work on those things off the tee. Best batting average in baseball, 330. He leads baseball in hits with 180, most doubles with 45.
Doubles, yeah.
So I know Paul Goldschmidt with those cards is the front runner for MVP. He's one .net 1.020 in the OPS. But I mean, Freddie Freeman's making a surge with those numbers. He's making it a fight, that's for sure. And when you got Mookie, Trey, Freddie, bang, 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 and now this guy Justin Turner, the red beard is really dialing it in. You said it at the beginning of the year. It could be the best lineup. It could be the best team assembled in history. And now we'll just see how the playoffs pan out. Can their pitching hold up and stay healthy? Can they beat DeGrom and Scherzer twice? I guess they won't have to beat them twice, maybe just once. But then you got those
Muncie's
tough
heated
Braves.
up.
He has. Muncie's turned it around. Justin Turner and Muncie have both turned it around big time. And that's a testament to.
Hey, don't sleep on Chris Taylor. Don't sleep on Chris Taylor too.
Never would.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. He's been going through it a little bit. He's had some good days recently, but like I've been in that clubhouse with him, and that dude is a gamer. So you were there when he hit that walk-off against the Cardinals last year.
You shared a locker room with all those guys. What has caused the Muncies and the Justin Turners and the Chris Taylors to stay with it in the low times? Bellinger as well. They've all had some struggles this year.
It's a confidence and a belief in themselves. So it comes back to what we talked about earlier. Can you look at the problem headed your way, or in that case, the slump that they're in? Or can you look to the truths that the old adage in baseball is like the back of the card doesn't lie, the back of the baseball card, right? So I was watching a game the other day, and they talked about this, and they threw out 2 guys' stats. I don't know if you saw this game, but they spit out 275 versus 276, 33 doubles versus 33 doubles. All these numbers lined up, and it was Justin Turner and Mookie Betts. RBIs were the same. Now, homers were higher. Mookie had more, but Justin Turner, who's in his own words, he was interviewed the other day, he said it was a historically bad first half of the season for him. But by the end of the season, guess what? The back of the card doesn't lie, and he's got comparable numbers to Mookie Betts, who a lot of people have as an MVP candidate, and they should. Like Mookie will finish top 5 in the MVP, and he should. Justin Turner's right there with him, and that's That's amazing. But like I'm telling you, and listeners out there, are you going to focus on the problem that you're worried about, or what you know about yourself or your situation or your God or your family? You get to choose. So if you get mired in a slump, that's it. That's a wrap. If you don't believe in yourself, you're right. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. It's the Sharpie versus the pencil, right? Tell me you can't do something. I will grab my Sharpie. I will write it down, and you're right. We'll laminate it and we can put it up. It's a fact. You say you can't do it. You've limited yourself. That's a fact. It's out. Give me a pencil if you say you can do it. And if you mess up, we're going to write it again. And we'll erase it and write it again. And we'll write it again until it comes true. So Justin Turner, Max Money, Chris Taylor, these guys, they're not going to lose faith. Now, don't get me wrong. They'll get upset. Like Max can break a bat with the best of them in the hallway. It's amazing. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. And Chris Taylor's calm, but every once in a while, he'll let you know, because those guys care and they're great, but they're not losing confidence. And it shows. And now here we go. They're going to get hot at the right time. And I wouldn't want to have to pitch against that lineup. DeGrom and Scherzer will be a tremendous challenge. But if you said, hey, who do you got? I got the Dodgers. I got the Dodgers winning the World Series.
Yep. And it will come down to timely hitting. And then that fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth inning pitching wise in the National League. Who do you love? Who do you have maybe giving the Dodgers the best run as far as a great bullpen and clutch hitting? I think for me, I've got to go to the Braves. They've been there, that they've done that, and I could just see them coming up clutch when need be, and then finding a way to shut it down at the end. But you're putting a lot of pressure on the Mets if it's all about Scherzer and DeGrom, but you do have Diaz on the back end there as well. So who's going to give them who's going to give them the best?
I like the Mets. I think the Mets are the toughest challenge. And if for those that have followed the Mets this year, I know it's gotten a little sideways here lately, but they've had some magic this year. They've had some comeback wins. There's a lot of belief in that clubhouse, and there should be. Diaz is fire. Lugo's nasty. Trevor May is a difficult guy to face. When you look at the Braves, the reason why, if I'm the Dodgers, I'm not afraid of the Braves, and this is just my opinion, we're going to line up against the Braves, and we took your best player. So, like, you're going to get in that game, and the Braves are going to look over and see Freddie, Beep, and Freeman on the freaking Dodgers. Like that, I don't know how you get over that mentally. Sorry, I don't think the Braves can beat the Dodgers when they took their best player.
And Freddie's playing as good as he's ever played.
Yeah, I don't see it. So I just feel like I would be so disheartened. And I know I just talked about, like, focus on what you can focus on and not the problem ahead, unless the problem's Freddie Freeman and he used to be on your team and now he's on your opponent. That. I'm not getting over that. So I think the Mets give them the best challenge, and the Braves shouldn't have let Freddie Freeman rock. That's on them. They got to live with that.
When Craig Kimbrell comes out of the bullpen playing Elsa, Let It Go, he's pretty dynamite. He started playing that song, Let It Go, and I think he's undefeated since then, hasn't given up a run. So can Kimbrell get it done in the closer role?
I can't speak to it. I don't know. I don't think it's going to matter, though. I just think that offense is going to be so good that he can give up 2 in the 9th and they still win 6-3. I think that they're going to, and like I said, why do I say that? Because in years past, when a really good pitcher was on, the Dodgers didn't score. They would strike out a lot. They wouldn't play team baseball. Not that they're not team guys. They are. That's one of the best group of team guys I've ever seen. But there were times when they did not play team ball as far as that lineup goes. Not that they weren't trying to, but it just didn't happen. This year, especially since, like, early in the year, they're a little bit slow. And I think Doc brought it up of, like, hey guys, we just got to, like, put the team in front of each other. And they have. So, like, that's what I look at, especially when you get down to playoff time. How do you do against the best pitchers? Because that's what you're going to see in the playoffs. And they have been dominant. Like, it was Sandy Alcantara and it was another pitcher. And I can't remember who the other pitcher was, but he was a frontline stud, and they knocked him out in like 3 innings. And I was just, I mean, look at all the Padres pitchers that they just dominate. Is
Yeah.
Clevenger not good? Yeah, he is. His ERA is inflated because he faces the Dodgers all the time. You know, Blake Snell. It's crazy.
Last thing we'll say about the NL, that was what the Chicago Cubs struggled with after 2016, is getting into the playoffs, but then throwing up a donut against the best pitchers in baseball. What's the secret? What have the Dodgers figured out?
They have figured out, I think Freddie Freeman's been a huge part of it. Mookie's a team guy. JT's a team guy. They're really filled with team guys, but you see them, and I think Freddie leads by example. We talked about how he beats the shift a lot. Like, look at all those guys with 2 strikes. They have taken a little bit off their swing. The Dodgers were notorious, in my opinion, of having the best swings in baseball, but they didn't have a B swing. They only had an A swing. They had 1 speed, all gas, no brakes. That's great until you get into the playoffs, because you're swinging your A swing and it looks really good, but you're just not going to hit the best pitchers. You might clip 1 or 2, but you won't do it consistently, right? Now you see guys choke. Will Smith, what a great hitter. We haven't talked about Will Smith. These guys are choking up and they're putting the ball in play, and that is what it takes. And then you put a couple balls in play, and then before you know it, now all of a sudden you're feeling good about yourself, and then you get your ace swing off and it's a homer. This lineup, to me, and I want to give Freddie Freeman a lot of credit. I just think that a lot of especially the younger guys like Gavin Lux, who's hitting close to 300, they have the ability to take a little bit off their swing now, and that B swing can be highly effective. So for our hitters that are listening, yeah, have an A swing, absolutely, but you got to have a B swing. The term I like to use is be a hitter, not just someone who can hit.
Yeah, and when you're facing the best of the best, can you have an 8-pitch at bat? Right? Can you choke up and foul off 3 pitches, 3 of their best pitches? You know, when you're facing Scherzer and you're able to go 10 pitches, yeah, he might get you on something nasty on pitch 11, but that's gonna wear him down by the 6th and the 7th, and that's what the Dodgers are really good at. That's what the Cubs were able to do in 2016, and that's why I was like, we might do this. A lot of 10-pitch at bats, tons of foul balls, not giving up on any ABs. Yeah, they're amazing. Right now, if it ended, Dodgers and Mets have the bye. Cardinals host the Padres for that wild card 3-game set, and the Braves host the Phillies. So the Braves will be, they'll either have the bye if they win the division, or they'll host that first wild card. And then you got the Dodgers and the Mets waiting on whoever wins that 3-game series. I'm loving that wild card thing. That's a best of 3, all home games for the better team. And hey, we'll see if the crew can sneak in there and catch the Padres. But right now, we both have the Dodgers making it to the Fall Classic. In the AL, the best teams, the Astros, and it's been the Astros for a while. Yankees have been sliding since the All-Star break, but they're still 5.5 up. And then the Guardians, man, something about that squad. They just keep the White Sox and the Twins at bay. They've been doing that for weeks now, and everybody thinks, oh, the White Sox are they're finally getting hot at the right time. But you got to catch the Guardians, because there's only one team making it out of the AL West and the AL Central, and it's going to be the division winner. So Houston's got that. Pardon me, Seattle's going to make it as well in the wild card. But yeah, I like Houston. I like the Yankees in the bye, and then I like the winner of that AL Central hosting maybe a Tampa Bay Ray or a Blue Jay team. And then you've got Seattle there, who's super, super strong. I think what I've noticed about the Mariners, I'll start there, least errors in baseball. They're fielding the baseball. Same with the Cardinals. They're fielding the baseball, least errors in the NL. Mariners, least errors in the AL. A lot of timely hitting. There's a buzz. There's a vibe in Seattle. So they're not catching Houston for the division, but I could see them hosting a 3-game wild card and making some noise there. So who you liking in the AL, brother?
Yeah, I want to touch on the Guardians. I think that I think a lot of credit has to go to Terry Francona. I just feel like, teams take on kind of the persona of their manager, and Francona. I mean, kind of most people had the Twins or the White Sox. I think I had the White Sox at the beginning of the year. But I mean, La Russa's on a leave of absence or whatever's going on there, and having spoke to some guys in that clubhouse. I just really like Terry Francona. I think he's a really good leader. I think he creates a really good vibe, and it's a well-soiled garden, if you will, as far as a clubhouse. It's going to grow. Whatever's supposed to grow is going to grow. Whatever's supposed to happen, he's going to maximize it. So incredibly well-respected man, Terry Francona, legend. Went to U of A out here, Tucson. I got to give a lot of credit to Terry Francona. I think it's hard to go against the Astros. They've been there, they've done that. Even losing Correa, it's like they don't miss a beat. It's similar to the Dodgers in that they have a really good process. Really good front office, good coaching staff, really good players, really good farm system, so that when they do lose a Correa, they've got a guy ready to step in, and when they do lose a pitcher, they've got a guy ready to come in, and they're you look at these teams with sustained success, and there's a blueprint. It's an engaged front office. It's analytics. It's also having a pulse and a heartbeat. It's having talent waiting in the wings. So you can kind of weather the storm when there's some injuries, and having a ton of pitching. But I like the Astros.
I would go with that. Just add to the Astros, it's their staff. I mean, they lead the American League in team ERA, team WHIP, team batting average. That staff, and Verlander, he's just resting up for the playoffs. He's going to be just fine. So it starts there, and then when you go down that lineup, Bregman's starting to get hot. Alvarez he's a freak, and Altuve kind of sneaking into that MVP candidate status once again. He just they're doing it. They got a chip on their shoulder. They want to prove that they can win this thing without the video, without the trash can, and all the boos that they're receiving. I think it's inspiring them, man. I really do. And so I'm with you on the Astros. And then you look at these team offensive stats, and those Toronto Blue Jays are starting. They're starting to come. They're really starting to hum. They're starting to do exactly what we knew they would do. And then you've got those pitchers at the top Gaussman. Like, I was trying to break down why were the Giants really, really strong? Why was Logan Webb so good? I mean, who did they lose? They lost him.
Yeah.
Right. I'm not recalling too many other names that have jumped besides him and Buster Posey. And Buster Posey was a huge part of that. But he's a bad dude at the top of the rotation. So I think the Blue Jays are going to be a terror. I think Seattle's going to be fun. I think the whole AL playoff, I think it's going to be great. And yeah, Tito is doing it in Cleveland. So you can't bet against him in the playoffs. He's just he's been there. So I love the Astros.
Yeah, and I do like Toronto. Yeah, I do like Toronto too. I think because they've been hot right now, and you're looking at their last 10, they're 8-2, maybe peaking a little bit early. But they're trying to chase down New York, so I get that. But if they can stay hot, they're one of the teams I think that could beat Houston. I actually will stay with Dodgers versus Blue Jays. I'm gonna ride that out all the way through. Even after saying all the great things I said about Houston, I just first of all, I think it'd be fun to be right. That's fun. Being right's fun, and I'm gonna stick with Dodgers over Blue Jays. And I know that's not, looking at these numbers, that's maybe a hot take, because it's silly to say Houston's not the best team out of the American League. They are, but we all know in the playoffs, I think Blake Trinan said it best: you got to be hot, you got to be lucky, and you got to be healthy. And those are kind of the three keys. So if Toronto can stay hot, and I don't know what's Houston do. I mean, yeah, Houston's like the Dodgers. You're like, oh, they're not hot. They're 7-3 their last 10. So that's like a standard 10-game stretch for the Dodgers and the Astros, right?
Like,
like,
no,
they're not
8-2. Yeah, 9-1, 8-2 the whole year. That's just that's their
It's
last 10.
crazy.
Yeah.
It's
So
crazy.
those are the horses. You're gonna have to catch them. But I mean, one team we haven't mentioned is the Tampa Bay Rays, man. You get them in a
Yep.
playoff series and they
Yep.
grind. They bring out these names out of the bullpen that you've never heard of. Like what, that they have a way of taking a Chicago Cub pitcher that got released in 2019 and making him nasty and unbelievable. And
Yep.
then, yeah, I really do like watching I like watching their lineup take at bats and just be tough, just be pesky on a great pitcher. And that's what you need in the playoffs. You're facing all great pitchers. Can you be pesky enough? So, yeah, I
I
got to
got a
stick
red
with my.
flag.
Oh
Go
yeah,
ahead.
give me a red flag.
No.
I got to stick with my
I'll,
Blue Jays over the Dodgers.
yeah, why not?
Bo Bichette's getting hot, and Springer's a game changer, and they're
Love
just
Springer.
fun.
Yeah.
But
Vladdy
yeah,
Jr.
I wouldn't be upset with a 2017 rematch, and let's see if the Dodgers can take down Houston.
Yeah. A red flag for Tampa Bay. And I just saw this because I'm looking at it. First of all, it's really hard to go into Tampa Bay and win. It's just not a good environment. It's like going into Miami and winning. Like there's no fans there. The energy's terrible. The clubhouse staff's awesome, but the clubhouse stinks. Like not literally smells. It's just not great. This, like I said, nothing against the staff there. That clubhouse staff is awesome in Tampa, but it's just not a great facility, right? So you go in there, there's no vibe, there's no energy. That means that it's advantage home team, right? Big time. So cool. Tampa's 47-24 at home. What are they on the road when they're in some stands with some juice? 31-37. Nah, sorry, Tampa. I guarantee that it wasn't like that in the past. Well, maybe I guess we could look, but they're not going to be at home in the playoffs. So if you're playing sub 500 ball, there's not a lot of other teams. You know what? Look at the Yankees, 35-34 on the road. That's bizarre. The friendly confines of New York, but I don't know. To me, that stands out as a concern if I'm a Ray fan. And I want to say with the Yankees, because I look like a real bozo for most of the year when they were playing hot, but like some of the stuff we talked about early kind of came true. Like my thought of like, I feel like they're a slow pitch softball team and all they do is hit home runs. And when that stops, they're going to stop winning games because they're kind of like what we talked about with the Cubs in 2017 or 16 and the Dodgers. Once you face good pitching, home runs go away. They go away. So if you can't be a baseball team and be a group that can hit and not just be a bunch of sluggers, like great, good job. You feasted on mediocrity throughout the year. You get into the postseason, it's going to get really hard really quick. And Aaron Boone's going to have to answer questions about what's wrong with the offense. It's what it is. We're built to hit homers and guys aren't hitting home runs.
So fired up, man. 3 weeks left in the season. Postseason's going to be so lit.
Going to be lit.
Fired up. We'll keep our eyes open. Shout out to Dylan Cease, man. He's 2.06 ERA. He's duking it out with Verlander for that Cy Young award in the AL and got a great mustache and went 8 2/3 no hit and then Minnesota got a knock off him. Mariah's got a knock off him in a last inning, but just love watching that guy pitch. Urias is right there, tops in the NL and ERA once again, just a stud at the top of that rotation. So shout out to those two guys. Yeah, amazing.
Hey, Julio's 35-10 over the last 2 years from the start of like last year. 35-10.
Unbelievable.
Wild. El Guason, the Joker.
We close out our Talkin' Shop episodes with a little bit of raking and a random act of kindness or the best thing I saw this week. I'll drop two. One was my buddy John Handy. I call him John Handy. He can throw at 96. He's become a good friend, and his wife and my wife, we're all good friends. He said, "Hey, you just moved into your house. I'm a handyman. Let me come over and help." He came and helped, shut some screen doors for me that I couldn't figure out, screw some things in, mount a TV, finding studs, doing things that I could do, but it would take me 3 years. And he did it in about 20 minutes. And I tried to Venmo him some cash, and he's like, um, don't even think about it. Not allowed. Don't even think about it. And just a random act of kindness. Every day he did that for us 2 days in a row. He came over, just wanted to help. And it kind of reminded me of that sermon that we've spoken of a lot on the podcast about, hey, who's got a fridge that's broken, or who's got a car that's not working? So that was church right there. Secondly, yesterday we had our first Sandlot in Mission Viejo. A bunch of kids showed up. It was awesome. And I've kind of divvied up this Sandlot season into stations. Let's have some workstations where we've got a throwing and catching station, a batting station, an agility station, and maybe a fly ball or a ground ball station. So we had a hitting station with wiffle balls and wiffle bats, and a lot of the dads and moms went out there and they were tossing wiffle balls to these kids. So we had a coach in right field working with a group, a coach in left field. I was in the diamond working with a group, but we had this big circle of moms and dads that were, they could have just chilled in their lawn chairs, and maybe should have, but they wanted to make it a better experience for the kids. So they get out there, and there's 8 hitters, and there's 8 parents out there working batting practice with their kids. And that's what it takes. I can't get 15 coaches out there for just a Monday Sandlot, but a couple of the parents wanted to jump in, were willing to do that. And it made me think, there at one point there were 8 dads out there in a circle, and I'm like, next week I need to bring a keg out there in the center, just as a thank you. Hey, have you a cold beer on Coach Ballgame, dads? You're out there just getting drilled by wiffle balls to the chest. And it just really brought some joy to my day. So thank you to those awesome moms and dads that were willing to help out, and for no other reason, just make it a better hour for their kids, make it a better experience. They could have been standing around playing maybe a scrimmage game, but instead, we had some action there, and every kid was getting to swing the bat. So that was the best thing I saw. What about you?
I love that. With our group over the summer, we had a lot of that. I told the dads, I'm like, hey, I would love some help. I need some help. It'll help with our stations. And then you get to learn too. Like I'll teach you what we do, and you can take this with your little league teams. And so that's huge. That's good on those parents. That's clutch. And you know who wins at the end of the day? The kids. So it's pretty cool. I love that. I'm going to go 2 things as well. One is going to be, and I pulled up these stats. I want to give a shout out to @the_real_Bubba Mustaine. This is my starting shortstop last year, an all-state shortstop. And he was an all-state receiver last year too, like the best receiver in the state for the 3A division. And now he's the starting quarterback, and he's got 17 touchdowns to 1 interception, a QB rating over 140. Like, this kid is such a stud, such a hard worker, such a great leader. I love Bubba Mustaine. So, and he beat me in our first week of fantasy football last week. He beat me by less than a point. I had Dak Prescott starting, and he scored 4 points. Devastating. Dak, still love you. But yeah, so @the_real_Bubba Mustaine, we don't have enough time on the podcast for me to say all the things I feel about him, but I love him, and I'm proud of him. And he just brings me joy. He's a great kid, great human, great family. His older brother, Tyler, is actually one of his receivers. He's a middle linebacker, leads the team in tackles. Tyler Mustaine, I think he's probably going to end up going to U of A, but he's going to be playing D1 football. Stud. So it's just a stud family, the family full of boys, and great parents, and love the Mustaines. But @the_real_Bubba Mustaine. Other thing I'm going to say is we do something in our practices where we spotlight kids. And what that is we'll call up a kid. And this last practice, we called up Brett Calise, and talk about another wonderful family. Brett and Luke and their older brother, Reed, great group. And we put Brett up in front. And what we do is we have his teammates say things that they appreciate about Brett outside of athletics. So you got kids raising their hand. Hey, Brett's loyal. Brett's kind. Brett is selfless. Like he'll do things. He'll like see something, see a need, and he'll give you his food or he gives out baseball cards all the time, similar to Coach Ballgame. He's like, hey, I found a Bo Jackson and I gave it to so-and-so. I know that this is his favorite player. So I found one and I gave it to him. It's just a heart of gold. So for this young man, this kid, Brett, to hear all of his teammates talk about all the things they appreciate about him, it's just really cool. So coaches do that. And it was cool because all the parents are right there too. And you want to really quickly get parents to kind of defuse how they judge you as a coach. Oh, that coach is doing this wrong or that wrong or this wrong or that could blah, 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 blah. Yeah. Start spotlighting kids in front of parents and see real quick how their hearts soften to you and realize, hey, this is a really good coach who cares about my kid and cares about these kids. So are his X's and O's perfect? No. Big deal. He loves our kids and that's what it matters. So love Brett Calise.
Love that. Love the spotlight. I spotlight at the end of every Sandlot with special awards. I try to give each kid at least one baseball card per day. And I'll say, hey, did you get a baseball card? Then you made a great choice. You earned that card. That is an award. But we've got some spotlight awards, very special leaders of the day. And, that's for good choices that they've made all day. And it kind of caused everybody else to want to be a good person. And I bring them up on stage and we give them maybe 12 seconds of eye contact or a smile salute, thumbs up salute. But I have to be careful sometimes not to make it all about this ball player was energetic or this ball player was loud. I got to look at the ones that were quiet leaders as well, or maybe very attentive, but they're kind of shy. I don't want to just jump on what jumps out at me or jumps out at you as an obvious, great leader with loud hustle, cheer. Be attentive, coaches, to those other personalities that are doing great things, but maybe in a quiet manner. So
I love that. That's important.
Yeah.
That's important. And those kids that are like that, those are really the ones that you really need to be mindful of. I can think of a few right now that I'm going to spotlight next practice because they're just always doing the right thing and they're always giving effort, but they're not being loud. They're not being energetic because they're introverts, but that doesn't mean they're not awesome. Right.
Yep.
So like, if you can acknowledge that and like, hey, so-and-so's, he's always giving effort, and I love that. Insert whatever you see him doing the right way or giving that, hey, he screwed up, but guess what? He didn't get down on himself. He got up and he tried again, that's huge. That's a huge deal as a coach, because you're right. The obvious guys are obvious, but can you be in tune with those other guys that are equally as important and they're doing it the right way? And if you can encourage them, like all of a sudden, like that's pretty cool. I love that. That's a huge point, Coach. That's great.
Awesome. Well, thank you, listener, once again for just hanging with us and hopefully getting some resources for your tool pouch. Follow us on Instagram at Ballgame and Chop. If you would like to support, you obviously don't have to, but if you'd like to get some exclusive interviews and some VIP entertainment, then sign up for the Patreon link. And then you can watch all these videos on Coach Ballgame's YouTube channel as well. And it's just good to be back on a weekly basis. I feel it when I'm parenting, when I'm being a husband, when I'm waking up in the morning, when I'm being a coach, how much this is food and nourishment for me. So I'll continue to rake like my buddy John Handy and like my buddy Chad Chop. Attaboy.
Attaboy. I hope you have a great week, bud. You're the best. Rake out there, folks, and jump on Patreon. Let's go. And I'll try to start spreading the word out here. I'll get Coach Diesel on it. Debbie Chop. Let's try to make it awkward when we're shouting out to 8,000 Patreon followers.
Right.
It's gonna be great.
That's going to be a long one. We'll just spend a whole episode just saying people's names and nicknames.
Yeah, Coach or Tommy Gold will have to that'll just be a scrolling like thank you on the bottom line. It's like a ticker, like a sports ticker. Let's get to that point.
Thank you, Tommy Gold, for the awesome graphics that we'll be posting on my YouTube channel of the videos, and he's running the Instagram feed as well. So attaboy to our producer, Tommy Gold, and I'll see you next week.
Bye, guys. It's a great day to be great.
Bang.
Bang.